Alright guys, welcome back to the channel, welcome back to another video. We have another red zone challenge for you, and that is the final test in Gogeta Blue's kind of circuit, if you will. We've taken him into red zone against the Mega Shenron, which he kind of fairly walked. We've taken him in against Cooler Core, one of the hardest hitting enemies in the entirety of the game, and he demolished him. Health bar, dodging super attacks, done really well there. That 70% chance to dodge really coming in clutch. And now probably his worst environment, which is red zone BROLY. Now with it being his worst environment, you would think that would stop him, but did it? Absolutely not. Now the reason why I say this is his worst environment is because for the most part you can dodge Omega, and Omega's damage is kind of scaled off in recent years since we've had red zone introduced, just because we have so many good units in the game that can handle him defensively without too much of a hitch, you know, more often than not, compared to some of the other units that aren't quite up in the upper echelons of the better units in the game, which of course EZA Gogeta does fall into. Whereas Cooler Core, probably up there as one of the hardest hitting bosses in the game, as I said, and he has that 70% chance to dodge when he's in blue, which really does help out. And as I've been saying for a while now, probably one of the strongest mechanics currently in Dokkan, just because of how useful it is and how often now you can actually dodge in red zone compared to when they first released it last year during the 6th anniversary. Sorry, not the 6th anniversary, the 7th anniversary. Jesus, going back 2 years there. Whereas BROLY, he's still up there as one of the hardest hitting enemies in the game, probably third. I think he's a little bit weaker than Cooler Core. You know, Cell Max being the hardest. I don't really like doing content around Cell Max just because only like the top 1% of Dokkan units can actually like really handle Cell Max. Like, you know, the actual Cell Max event, not the red zone Cell Max. He's nowhere near as difficult. The actual Cell Max event, only the top 1% are actually really good and viable in that event, where you can actually beat it and actually have a good showing. So in terms of red zone, where it's a little bit more competitive and you can try other units here, as I said, BROLY would have the worst environment and still one of the hardest hitting bosses in the game. Now the reason why I say he has the worst environment is you can dodge throughout the entirety of BROLY's event. However, as soon as you get to the final stage where he hits the hardest, Gogeta can no longer dodge, and that is a big part of his kit. But as I said, you would think that would stop him. It really didn't. It really didn't. So the first phase, obviously, BROLY gets more difficult and difficult. The first phase is strength. We haven't even got into blue yet. We have to wait to turn 4. Stage 1 is essentially just a warm-up for Gogeta. That's what it is. You can quickly shred through his health bar because of the type advantage. Also, mine is rainbowed. A lot of yours probably has dupes or is rainbowed as well. So you're pretty much just shredding through his health bar, along with the other units that are surrounded by him. And really, you're just trying to build them up. Gogeta, essentially, all he has to do there is, he's just there. You don't need to do anything with Gogeta. He also has the 50% chance to dodge, which he actually doesn't really need to utilize here, just because once he super attacks, he's taking double digits against BROLY. But for the most part, you can get through BROLY's phase 1 very quickly, specifically with Gogeta, because of how much damage he can do, and of course the key type advantage. But I think even prior to him supering, I think Gogeta will probably tank double digits against BROLY's first phase anyway. But yeah, second phase, of course, can do a little bit more damage. Some of the better units can actually be caught by this phase. Has type disadvantage. However, again, once he even super attacks once, by the time you get here, you're probably going to get blue out anyway. You're probably going to have the transformation into blue, just because it does come so quick after 4 turns. That change made by Dokkan on his EZA, still such a great change, and I do hope in the future, even though JP didn't get it with Gohan and Cell, or specifically Gohan, I really do hope future transformation conditions that lie underneath actives do get altered, because they do really make a huge difference, Dokkan. So I hope that is something they do touch on in the future. But, you know, second phase, as I said, he does have type disadvantage. Again, you'll get blue up by this point, so you do have the extra stacks. You also have the 50% attack and defense raised on super for 4 turns, and now you have the 70% chance to dodge rather than a 50. So even if BROLY was to super attack him, he has a 70% chance to dodge, which is, you know, in terms of odds, majority of the time, and we've seen him do so many times at this point. And then after one super attack, not even he doesn't even need to additional, but not even within those 4 turns to build up his attack and defense that he can by 50%. Literally off of one super attack, he's tanking double digits on Broly's basics there. So you don't have to really worry about Gogeta taking too much damage. A super will probably catch you a little bit, it wouldn't kill you, but you would certainly take a decent amount of damage if you only super attacked once within that 4-turn build-up that you can utilize with the 50% defense race of 4 turns. But double digits on basics, and as I said, even then, he does have that 70% chance to dodge, just because by this point, you will have the blue transformation off, which definitely does help here, but still, never really in any danger, and because by this point he has the built-in crit, the guaranteed crit, even though he has type disadvantage, he's still doing amazing damage and constantly shredding Broly's health bar. Now we have the AoE phase, which since the release of Red Zone Broly, or the Red Zone Broly stage, can always catch you because of the AoE. Again, Gogeta has type advantage by this point, and you're guaranteed no matter what to have him at Super Saiyan Blue. So again, 70% chance to dodge the AoE, that's avoiding a decent amount of damage. The same can't be said for other units, just like the gods there, but I think we did have a Whis active by this point. But he can dodge, which is also great. It does help you avoid some extra damage, especially if he hasn't super attacked too much by that point, or super attacked at all. I mean, he probably would have super attacked by that point, but you know, you're probably within like your second, maybe third turn of building up his attack and defense for 4 turns. But even then, he'll probably be fine. You won't probably need an item active whatsoever, even if he was to be supered and not dodge, just because of the type advantage. In terms of basics, again, because of the type advantage, pre-super, he's probably tanking double digits, or that was with a Whis active, so maybe he'll take a little bit more, but nothing to worry about. Once he super attacks, again, because of the type advantage, and of course the guaranteed crit, he's absolutely shredding through Broly's health bar at that point, which is actually very helpful. You know, it's not as difficult as it was a year ago. However, still, there is still an element of challenge against Broly. Broly still hits very hard, and again, his AoE in that strength phase can still catch you if you're not careful, or if Broly ends up AoEing and catching the wrong unit. It can happen. It can still happen. Don't underestimate Broly. He still hits very hard. But because of how much damage Gogeta can do on that phase, again, because of that guaranteed crit, you can get through that phase, especially with all the other units that go on the same teams as Gogeta Blue. You can get through that strength phase pretty quickly, where you may not even have to use an item, and you may not actually take too much damage, and you make Broly, well, that AoE Broly phase, look like a bit of a pushover, depending on how RNG goes for you. So that also is a major plus in my book. And as I said, other than that, he has that 70% chance to dodge, so you're not really taking much damage there in the first place. Even once you super attack and he doesn't dodge, double digits on basics, it's just the same process as always. It's the same song and dance. Now in terms of the final phase, this is where things get a little bit more difficult for Gogeta Blue. He can no longer utilize the 70% chance to dodge. Not that much of a problem. I mean, if he was to be super attacked with no item, it would be a problem. That is literally the specific circumstance and instance where it would become a problem. But the reason why I'm not really too phased about that is because that's the majority of units in the game. The majority of units in the game that doesn't have guard, doesn't stack, doesn't have damage reduction, or doesn't have a counter, if they are hit by a super attack by Broly, even though he's not the hardest hitting enemy in the game anymore, there is still a high chance you will die if you do not have a Whis active. So the fact that Gogeta falls into that bracket just this one time against Broly in a specific scenario where he can't utilize that so strong, overpowered 70% chance to dodge, doesn't really drop him down in my book, because he still performed exceptionally well. He still has that amazing rotation setup where you have a slot 1 unit next to him in God Goku, so he can super attack in slot 2. In terms of basics, he's tanking double digits once again, even off of 1 super attack, I think. But you know, by this point you would have super attacked, you know, 2-3 turns, or potentially been on the 4-turn build up, and then of course you restart again. And then because he has dupes, you're most likely to hit an additional as well, which mine does, especially with skill equips on top of that as well, where you can get 2 stack ups in 1 turn and have like 600k plus defense, which is still pretty solid. As I said, it helps him tank double digits in this phase, which is exactly what you need. As I said, if he was to be super attacked with no item active, you're probably gonna die, but so is the majority of units in the game. So as I said, I don't find it to be too much of a problem, just because that is the same to be said for a lot of units in the game. And then if you have an item active, he'll probably be able to survive a super, which is exactly what you're looking for. But because of the guaranteed crit, once again, he's shredding Broly's health bar, performed exceptionally well here, completely dominated the whole of Red Zone through these videos I've made. He's honestly one of the best EZAs in the game. It's a shame Gohan will displace him soon on Global, but he is still an amazing unit, one of the best. Let me know your thoughts. I'll see you in the next video, guys, and peace.